If you are over 60 and either taking Ozempic right now or thinking about starting it, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes because what I am about to share with you today could genuinely change how you think about this medication forever. I am not here to scare you. I am not here to sell you anything. I am here because I have spent years working with adults over 60. And right now, in 2025, one of the most common conversations I am having is about Ozempic. People are coming to me confused, worried, and honestly, a little misled. Not because their doctors are bad people, but because there are things about this drug that are simply not being communicated clearly enough to older adults. So today, we are going to have an honest, science-based conversation. No hype, no exaggeration, just the real facts that every person over 60 deserves to know before making a decision about Ozempic. Let me start with something that might surprise you. Ozempic is not a new drug. It was approved by the FDA back in 2017 for type 2 diabetes management. The active ingredient is called semaglutide, and it belongs to a class of medications known as GLP-1 receptor agonists. What that means in simple terms is that it mimics a natural hormone in your body that helps control blood sugar and reduces appetite. It tells your brain that you are full. It slows down how quickly food leaves your stomach. And as a result, most people who take it eat less and lose weight. Now, for many people with type 2 diabetes, this has been genuinely life-changing. The research is solid on that front. Studies published in the New England Journal of Medicine have shown significant reductions in blood sugar levels, body weight, and even cardiovascular risk in people with type 2 diabetes. That is real. That is not in question. But here's where things start to get complicated and where I believe the conversation is failing adults over 60. Over the last 2 to 3 years, Ozempic has exploded in popularity not just as a diabetes medication but as a weight loss drug. You have heard the stories. Celebrities talking about it. Social media is full of dramatic before and after photos. And suddenly, everyone wants it. Doctors are prescribing it more than ever before. And a significant number of those patients are adults in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. And this is where I want you to pay very close attention. The majority of the large clinical trials that established the safety and effectiveness of semaglutide were conducted primarily in middle-aged adults. When you look at the specific data for people over 60, and especially people over 70, the picture becomes much more nuanced. The risks that are manageable in a 45-year-old body can become significantly more serious in a 65-year-old or 75-year-old body. And yet, this distinction is not always being clearly explained when prescriptions are being written. I want to be very clear about something right now. I'm not telling anyone to stop taking their medication. I am not prescribing anything. I am not diagnosing anything. Every single decision about your medication must be made with your own doctor who knows your full medical history. What I am doing today is making sure you have information that will help you ask the right questions and have a more informed conversation with your healthcare provider. Because here is the truth. You have every right to know exactly what a medication is doing to your body. You have every right to understand the risks. And you have every right to ask whether there are alternatives worth considering. Before we go any further, I want to ask you something genuinely. How many of you watching right now are either taking Ozempic or recently offered it by a doctor or know someone who is on it? I am going to guess that number is very high. Because in 2025, this drug is everywhere. And the reason I am making this video today, the reason I felt I absolutely had to, is because of the messages I keep receiving from people in this community who feel like they were not given the full picture. One gentleman wrote to me recently and said, "I started Ozempic 6 months ago, and yes, I lost weight, but I feel weaker than I have in years. My legs feel like they belong to someone else. Is this normal?" And the honest answer is, it might be related to the medication, and it is something that absolutely needs to be discussed with a doctor immediately. Another woman in her late 60s told me she had been on Ozempic for 4 months, had lost nearly 20 pounds, but her hair was thinning. She felt constantly fatigued, and she had lost interest in food almost entirely. Again, these are real experiences that deserve real answers. These are not isolated stories. These are patterns. And today, we are going to talk about exactly what is happening inside the body of an adult over 60 who is taking this medication, and why the experience can be so different from what younger adults go through. So let us start from the beginning. Let us talk about what Ozempic actually does inside your body, and then we will get into why the aging body responds so differently. By the end of this video, you will have a clear picture of the real benefits, the real risks, the questions you need to ask your doctor, some genuinely exciting natural alternatives that are being researched right now. Stay with me. This is going to be worth your time. And please, if you find this information valuable, share it with someone you care about who might be considering this medication, because this is exactly the kind of conversation that needs to happen more often. Let us get into it. To understand why Ozempic affects older adults differently, we first need to understand what happens to the human body as we age. And I promise you, once you understand this, everything else we discuss today will make complete sense. When we are young, our bodies are remarkably good at maintaining what scientists call homeostasis. Basically, the ability to keep everything in balance. Our muscles repair themselves quickly. Our bones stay dense. Our hormones are well regulated. Our digestive systems are efficient. Our bodies can handle changes, including the introduction of powerful medications, with relative resilience. But after the age of 60, several fundamental biological shifts have already taken place. These are not signs of failure. They are simply the reality of the aging process. They matter enormously when we are talking about a drug like Ozempic. The first shift is something called sarcopenia. This is the age-related loss of muscle mass and muscle strength. It begins gradually around the age of 30 and accelerates significantly after. Research published in the Journal of Cachexia. Sarcopenia and muscle estimates that adults lose between 3 and 8% of their muscle mass per decade after 30, and that rate increases after 60. By the time most people reach their late 60s and early 70s, they have already lost a meaningful amount of their muscle tissue compared to their younger years. Now, why does this matter for Ozempic? Because one of the things that happens when anyone, young or old, takes Ozempic and begins losing weight is that they do not just lose fat. They also lose muscle. This is not unique to Ozempic. It happens with most forms of calorie restriction and weight loss. But in a younger adult with plenty of muscle reserve, losing some muscle alongside fat is manageable. In an adult over 60 who is already dealing with sarcopenia, losing additional muscle mass is a genuinely serious concern. A study published in JAMA Network Open in 2023 specifically looked at body composition changes in older adults taking GLP-1 receptor agonists like semaglutide. The findings were striking. Older adults experienced a disproportionately high rate of lean muscle mass loss compared to younger adults taking the same medication. And here's why this matters practically, not just scientifically. Muscle is not just about strength or appearance. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It burns calories even at rest. It supports your joints and protects you from falls, regulates your blood sugar independently of medication, supports your immune system. It's connected to brain health, energy levels, and even mood. When an older adult loses significant muscle mass rapidly, the downstream consequences can be serious: increased fall risk, reduced mobility, slower metabolism, greater fatigue, and a longer road to recovery from any illness or injury. The second major shift in the aging body is bone density reduction. After menopause in women, and with age-related hormonal changes in men, bone density naturally declines. This is why osteoporosis is so much more common in older adults. Now, emerging research, including a review published in Osteoporosis International, has raised questions about the effects of rapid weight loss induced by GLP-1 medications on bone mineral density. The concern is that when weight is lost quickly, particularly in older adults who are already at risk, bone density may decline further, increasing the risk of fractures. This is an area where research is still ongoing, but it is a conversation worth having with your doctor before starting or continuing the medication. The third shift is nutritional absorption. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing certain key nutrients. Vitamin B12 absorption declines. Calcium absorption becomes less efficient. Zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D levels tend to drop. Now add to this the fact that Ozempic significantly reduces appetite and food intake. When an older adult is eating substantially less, there is a real risk of nutritional deficiency. Not because the food they eat is unhealthy, but simply because they are eating so much less of it. Vitamin B12 deficiency, for example, can cause symptoms that include fatigue, weakness, tingling in the hands and feet, memory problems, and mood changes. Symptoms that are sometimes mistakenly attributed to aging rather than to nutritional deficiency. If an older adult on Ozempic is experiencing these symptoms, it is worth having a full nutritional blood panel done to rule out deficiency. The fourth shift involves kidney function. As we age, kidney function naturally declines. By the age of 70, most adults have lost roughly 25 to 30% of their kidney function compared to their younger years, even without any diagnosed kidney disease. Ozempic, particularly when combined with other medications that are common in older adults, such as certain blood pressure medications or anti-inflammatory drugs, can place additional stress on the kidneys. Dehydration, which is already a risk for older adults, can compound this. The FDA label for semaglutide does include warnings about acute kidney injury, and this risk is magnified in older adults who already have reduced kidney reserve. Now, I want to be absolutely clear again. I am sharing this information not to cause alarm, but to ensure that you walk away today understanding that the aging body responds to Ozempic in ways that are meaningfully different from a younger body. These are real, documented physiological differences, and they deserve to be part of every conversation a doctor has with a patient over 60 before this medication is prescribed. The benefits for some people are real. The risks for some people are also real. And knowing both sides of the story is the only way to make a truly informed decision. In our next section, we are going to talk about the specific warning signs that older adults on Ozempic should watch out for and what to do if you notice them. Now that we understand why the aging body responds differently to Ozempic, I want to talk about something very practical. I want to give you a list of specific warning signs, real, documented signs, that every adult over 60 who is taking this medication should be aware of. Not to panic, not to make assumptions. What? So that if you notice any of these things happening to you or to someone you love, you know to take it seriously and speak to a doctor promptly. The first warning sign is rapid or significant muscle weakness. I am not talking about the normal fatigue that comes with reducing your calorie intake in the early weeks of starting a new diet. I am talking about a noticeable decline in your ability to do things that were previously manageable. Difficulty getting up from a chair, struggling on stairs, feeling unstable when walking, legs that feel heavy or unreliable. If you or someone you know on Ozempic begins experiencing this level of muscle weakness, it needs to be reported to a doctor and assessed properly. Given what we know about sarcopenia and the additional muscle loss associated with GLP-1 medications in older adults, this is not something to dismiss or wait out. The second warning sign is significant and sudden weight loss. You might think, well, that is the point of the medication. And yes, weight loss is the goal for many people taking it. But there is a meaningful difference between gradual, sustained weight loss and rapid, dramatic weight loss. Losing more than 1 to 2 pounds per week consistently, especially in older adults, raises concerns about the proportion of muscle being lost alongside fat. If weight is dropping very quickly, it is worth having a conversation with your doctor about whether the dose is appropriate and whether body composition, not just body weight, is being monitored. The third warning sign is changes in kidney function symptoms. These can be subtle and easy to miss. Reduced urine output, swelling in the legs or ankles, unusual fatigue that goes beyond normal tiredness, changes in the color of urine. Any of these symptoms in the context of taking Ozempic, particularly if you are also on other medications, should be flagged with your doctor immediately and may warrant blood tests to check kidney function markers like creatinine and GFR. The fourth warning sign is gastrointestinal symptoms that persist or worsen. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and constipation are well-documented and extremely common side effects of Ozempic, especially in the early weeks. For most people, these symptoms improve as the body adjusts to the medication. But in older adults, persistent or severe gastrointestinal symptoms carry additional risk. Prolonged nausea and vomiting can lead to dehydration very quickly in older adults, whose thirst mechanisms are already less reliable than in younger people. Dehydration, in turn, can worsen kidney function, cause dangerous drops in blood pressure, and increase the risk of falls. If gastrointestinal symptoms are not improving after the first few weeks, or if they are severe, this needs to be discussed with a doctor urgently. The fifth warning sign is signs of low blood sugar or hypoglycemia. Ozempic on its own does not typically cause hypoglycemia. However, if you are also taking other diabetes medications, particularly insulin or medications from the sulfonylurea family, the combination with Ozempic can cause blood sugar to drop to dangerous levels. In older adults, the symptoms of low blood sugar can sometimes be atypical or subtle. Instead of the classic shakiness and sweating, some older adults experience confusion, dizziness, sudden fatigue, or mood changes. Falls and accidents related to unrecognized low blood sugar are a documented risk in older adults on multiple diabetes medications. If you are on more than one diabetes-related medication and you add Ozempic, your blood sugar levels need to be monitored very carefully, and your other medications may need to be adjusted. The sixth warning sign is changes in vision. This is one that genuinely surprises many people. There is a known association between rapid improvement in blood sugar control, which can happen when starting Ozempic, and a condition called diabetic retinopathy worsening. The SUSTAIN-6 trial, which was a large clinical trial of semaglutide, actually found a higher rate of diabetic retinopathy complications in the semaglutide group compared to the placebo group. If you have any history of diabetic eye disease and you are starting Ozempic, you need to have a conversation with your eye specialist and your prescribing doctor about this risk. The seventh warning sign is severe or unusual abdominal pain. This is one of the more serious warning signs and should not be ignored. There is a documented association between GLP-1 receptor agonists and pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas. The risk is not extremely common, but it is real and serious. The symptoms include severe pain in the upper abdomen that may radiate to the back, nausea, and vomiting. If you experience this level of pain while on Ozempic, seek medical attention the same day. Do not wait. This is one of the warning signs that requires prompt evaluation. Now, I want to say something important here. I have just shared 7 warning signs with you, and I know that can feel overwhelming or even frightening. Please do not let that be your takeaway. The takeaway should be this: knowledge is power. If you know what to look for, you are in a far better position to protect yourself. Most people on Ozempic do not experience all of these issues. Many people tolerate it reasonably well. But the risks are real. They are documented, and every person over 60 who is considering or currently taking this medication deserves to know about them. In the next section, we're going to talk about something that I think you will find genuinely exciting. The natural alternatives and lifestyle strategies that research is showing can support similar outcomes to what Ozempic is trying to achieve without the medication risks. All right, let us shift gears now, because I do not want this video to be purely about risks and warnings. I want to give you something genuinely hopeful and practical, because the truth is, and this is backed by real, peer-reviewed science, there are natural strategies that support the same underlying mechanisms that Ozempic targets, and they can be remarkably effective, especially when combined together and applied consistently. Let me explain what I mean. Ozempic works primarily by mimicking GLP-1, which stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. This is a hormone that your body actually produces naturally after you eat. It helps regulate blood sugar, reduces appetite, and slows gastric emptying. The goal is a better regulated metabolic system, lower blood sugar, reduce cravings, and ultimately weight management. Here's the fascinating part. Your body is already capable of producing more of its own GLP-1, and there are specific, well-researched dietary and lifestyle strategies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural GLP-1 production. These are not miracle cures. They're not going to replicate a pharmaceutical dose of semaglutide in every case, particularly for someone with serious type 2 diabetes. But for many adults over 60 who are using Ozempic purely for weight management or for mild metabolic improvement, these strategies are worth a serious conversation with your doctor. The first natural GLP-1 booster is dietary fiber, and specifically something called fermentable fiber. Research published in the journal Cell has shown that when fermentable fibers found in foods like oats, barley, legumes, apples, and flax seeds are fermented by the bacteria in your gut, they produce short-chain fatty acids that directly stimulate GLP-1 secretion from the cells in your intestinal wall. Multiple studies have confirmed this connection. A 2020 meta-analysis published in Obesity Reviews found that high-fiber diets were associated with significantly increased GLP-1 levels and improved satiety compared to low-fiber diets. The practical implication for adults over 60 is that a diet rich in plant-based whole foods, particularly those high in soluble and fermentable fiber, can naturally support better appetite regulation and blood sugar control. The second natural strategy is something that might surprise you: protein intake, particularly at breakfast. Research from the University of Missouri and other institutions has shown that a high-protein breakfast, one that contains at least 25 to 30 grams of protein, significantly increases GLP-1 release and reduces appetite throughout the day. For older adults, this is doubly important because adequate protein intake is also one of the most powerful tools we have for preserving muscle mass, which, as we discussed, is a major concern when taking Ozempic. Foods like eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, smoked salmon, and lean poultry are all excellent protein sources that support both GLP-1 stimulation and muscle preservation. The third natural strategy is something called berberine. Now, I want to be careful here. Berberine is a plant-derived compound found in several plants, including golden seal, barberry, and Oregon grape. It has been studied for decades and has a genuinely interesting body of research behind it. A meta-analysis published in evidence-based, complementary and alternative medicine found that berberine had comparable effects to metformin, a well-established diabetes medication, in reducing blood sugar and improving insulin sensitivity. More recently, some researchers have referred to berberine as nature's Ozempic, and while that is a marketing-friendly phrase that somewhat overstates the comparison, there is genuine science behind berberine's ability to improve metabolic function. However, berberine can interact with other medications and is not appropriate for everyone. Please do not start taking it without discussing it with your doctor first. I am sharing it as an example of a naturally derived compound with genuine research behind it, not as a recommendation for you to take it without medical guidance. The fourth strategy is resistance exercise, and I cannot emphasize this enough. Multiple studies, including research from the American College of Sports Medicine and meta-analysis published in Diabetes Care, have shown that resistance training, meaning strength-based exercise like lifting weights, using resistance bands, or doing bodyweight exercises, significantly improves insulin sensitivity, supports muscle preservation, and has been shown to stimulate natural GLP-1 activity. For adults over 60, resistance training is arguably one of the single most powerful health interventions available. It addresses sarcopenia directly. It supports bone density, improves balance, and reduces fall risk. It supports metabolic health, and it improves mood and cognitive function. 2 to 3 sessions of resistance training per week, tailored to your individual capacity and starting from wherever you are right now, can make a profound difference. If you are not doing this and you are over 60, please speak to your doctor or a qualified exercise professional about starting. The fifth strategy is sleep quality. This one is chronically underrated. Research published in the journal Sleep Medicine Reviews has clearly established the connection between poor sleep and disrupted metabolic hormones, including reduced GLP-1 activity, increased ghrelin, the hunger hormone, elevated cortisol, and impaired insulin sensitivity. Adults over 60 who consistently get fewer than 6 hours of sleep or who have poor sleep quality are working against their own metabolic health every single night. Addressing sleep through sleep hygiene, managing sleep apnea if present, reducing evening light exposure, and maintaining a consistent sleep schedule can meaningfully improve metabolic health markers without any medication at all. The sixth strategy is stress management, because chronic stress is a genuine metabolic disruptor. Elevated cortisol, the primary stress hormone, promotes fat storage, particularly around the abdomen, disrupts blood sugar regulation, increases inflammation, and suppresses the immune system. For adults over 60, chronic stress, combined with an already shifting metabolic landscape, is a significant barrier to good health. Research consistently supports mindfulness-based practices, gentle yoga, walking in nature, and social connection as effective and evidence-backed tools for cortisol reduction. None of these strategies are a simple substitute for medication in every case, but they are real, they are supported by science, and for many adults over 60, they represent a powerful foundation, whether taken alongside medication, as part of a plan to eventually reduce medication with a doctor's guidance, or as a standalone approach for those who are not yet at the point of needing medication. We have covered a lot of ground today, and I am genuinely proud of you for staying with me through all of it. Because this is exactly the kind of information that can make a real difference in the decisions you make about your health. And that is ultimately what this channel is about. Making sure that you, as an adult over 60, have access to honest, science-based information so that you can have better conversations with your doctor and make choices that are truly right for your body and your life. So in this final section, I want to give you something very practical. I want to give you a specific set of questions that you can take to your next doctor's appointment if you are currently taking Ozempic or if your doctor has suggested it. Because here is something I believe deeply. A good doctor welcomes informed patients. A good doctor wants you to ask questions. The right questions lead to better outcomes. The first question to ask is this: am I being monitored for muscle mass loss? Not just body weight? This is crucial. Most standard medical checkups track weight, blood pressure, and blood sugar. But as we discussed in detail today, weight loss in an older adult on Ozempic is not the same as fat loss. You can be losing muscle rapidly while your overall weight goes down, and this will not show up on a standard scale. Ask whether a DEXA scan or other body composition assessment is appropriate, or at minimum, whether your doctor is considering muscle health as part of your overall monitoring plan. The second question is, are my nutritional levels being checked regularly, given the significant reduction in appetite that Ozempic causes? And given the already reduced nutrient absorption efficiency of the aging body, it is entirely reasonable to request periodic blood tests that check your levels of vitamin B12, vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, iron, and other key micronutrients. If any deficiencies are found, they can be addressed early before they cause significant symptoms. The third question is, how is my kidney function being monitored? Ask your doctor to explain your current kidney function numbers, specifically your GFR glomerular filtration rate and creatinine levels, and to tell you what level of decline would warrant a review of your Ozempic prescription. This is not an alarmist question. It is a sensible one for any adult over 60 on a medication with known kidney-related considerations. The fourth question is, what is the plan for reviewing and potentially reducing this medication over time? Ozempic is often presented as an ongoing treatment, because the evidence does show that stopping it frequently leads to weight regain. But it is entirely reasonable to ask your doctor what the long-term plan is. Are there milestones or goals that, once achieved, would make it appropriate to try reducing the dose or transitioning to lifestyle-based maintenance? This question helps establish that you are an active partner in your health decisions, not a passive recipient of prescriptions. The fifth question is, are there any interactions with my other medications that I should know about? Adults over 60 are more likely than younger adults to be taking multiple medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, thyroid function, or other conditions. It is important that your entire prescribing team has a clear picture of everything you are taking and that any potential interactions have been considered. The sixth question, and this is an important one, given my specific health history, what are the risks that are most relevant for me personally? Because everything we have discussed today is general information. Your specific risk profile depends on your personal medical history, your current health markers, your other medications, your lifestyle, and a host of other individual factors that only your doctor can assess. Ask them to translate the general risks into what they mean for you specifically. Now, I want to close with something that I think is important for us to acknowledge together. The conversation around Ozempic and around medications for weight management and metabolic health in general has become incredibly noisy. There is a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of commercial interest, a lot of social media hype, and frankly, a lot of misinformation going in both directions. Some people are promoting these medications as miracle solutions. Others are demonizing them entirely. The truth, as it almost always is, sits somewhere in the middle. For some adults over 60, particularly those with significant type 2 diabetes, serious cardiovascular risk, or obesity-related health complications, Ozempic or similar medications may be a genuinely important and beneficial part of their medical care. The decision to use them, made carefully, with a knowledgeable doctor who understands the full picture, can be the right one. I want to be absolutely clear about that for other adults over 60, particularly those who are considering it primarily for cosmetic weight loss, or who have not yet fully explored lifestyle-based interventions. The risk-benefit calculation may look very different. and they deserve to know that before starting a medication that has real and significant effects on the aging body. What I hope you take away from today's video is not fear and not a decision one way or the other. What I hope you take away is clarity. Clarity about what this medication actually does. Clarity about how the aging body responds to it. Clarity about what to watch for. Clarity about the natural strategies that science supports. And clarity about the questions that will help you have a better conversation with your own doctor. Because at the end of the day, your health is yours. Your body is yours. And you deserve to be fully informed about everything that goes into it. If this video helped you in any way, if it gave you information you did not have before, or if it raised questions you had not thought to ask, please share it with someone you care about. Share it with a friend who is considering this medication. Share it with a family member who is already on it. Because this kind of honest, science-based conversation is exactly what more people need to hear. And please do not forget, every single health decision you make, including anything related to medication, diet, or supplements, must be discussed with your own qualified healthcare provider. Nothing I share in this video constitutes medical advice, and nothing should be acted upon without proper medical guidance. I am here to inform and educate, not to prescribe or diagnose. Before you go, I want to hear from you. And I mean this genuinely. Your experiences and your questions are what shape the content I create for this community. So here's what I want to ask you today. Are you currently taking Ozempic, or has your doctor suggested it to you? What has your experience been like? Have you noticed any of the changes we talked about today? Muscle weakness, fatigue, nutritional changes, or anything else that surprised you? Perhaps you tried it and decided it was not right for you. What made you come to that conclusion? And if you have never taken it, what is your biggest question or concern about it? Leave your answer in the comments below. Every single comment gets read. Your experience might be exactly what another person in this community needs to hear. And the more we share honestly with each other, the better equipped all of us are to make the choices that are right for our own health. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.